One of the most common places to start your players off is in a tavern. Now, wouldn't it be cool if this tavern was more than just a place to drink beer? We want to create a dynamic and awesome and just really detailed tavern. Now, this is a great spot because if you're a brand new dungeon master, there's a very good chance that you're starting your players out in a tavern. Why not come right out the gates with something really impressive? Let's use AI to help us make a tavern. We're going to start off with our normal prompt. I am a dungeon master playing Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition. I need to design a tavern for my fantasy world. I will give you specific information about the location and I'd like you to help me develop more details. Do you understand? And then I also give it my NPC template, which you can find down in the description below. And I basically say, when you need to develop an NPC, I want you to use the following template. And I paste the template down below. Now I'm going to give this to ChatGPT so that it understands what I want. However, if it does begin to generate a tavern, I'm going to stop it because we want to give it more information. Perfect. So it understood what I asked and it actually listened this time. Lately, I've seen it not really listening very well, but in this case, it says that it wants me to give it some information. So this is where I'm going to start. There are a number of things, a number of factors that I think make a good tavern. So you want to have a physical layout. Of course. What does the building look like? What kind of style is it? What is the, are you in a city? Are you in a town? Are you in a thorp? Did you just stumble across something in the middle of the woods that, who knows? You want to have NPCs, of course. Who else are they going to talk to? There's going to be a barkeep or just somebody running the tavern or inn. I'm kind of putting the two together. I'm figuring right now we're going to build a tavern that has rooms above it. You want to have food and drink. Because, of course, right? Everybody's going to want to drink if they're in a tavern. You're going to want to have activities, something for the players to do. So entertainment or games, things like that. Maybe there's somebody who wants to play some games over in the corner, like dice games are always a popular way to kind of break the ice in an initial game. You want to have some plot hooks or quests. So this could be anything from a job board to Strider sitting over in the corner, right? Then you want some immersive details. What does it smell like in here? What kind of things do they see? What's on the walls? Things that aren't just, you walk into a tavern and you see a bar. Like, no, you walk into a tavern and you see there's a werewolf head up on the wall. And you notice that in here, it kind of just smells like wet dog. Okay, cool. Maybe that's the one in the middle of the forest. We'll figure that out. You want some history? How long has this been here? Did it just pop up or has it been here for hundreds of years? What kind of cool stories go with that? Then you want to know what the pricing is like, but that's mostly going to revolve around where you are. And lastly, you want to know, is there anybody who has maybe a problem with this establishment? Does it make sense for there to be a rivalry? Is there a tavern across the street? Or is maybe this tavern's belonging to this location getting in the way of maybe expanding the city, gentrification, etc.? So we're going to talk about all this stuff. This might be a little bit of a longer video, but check out the chapters below if there's something specific that you want. But what I think this video is going to be good, I don't know what we're going to build. I think that you could see my process here of how I go through this and generate something cool, and we'll do it together. So let's start off first with, where is this location? I want to at least decide, am I in a village or am I in a city? I'm going to go village because I just think that's a little bit more able to have just mystery to it. So we're going to go village and we're going to say this is like a somewhat small town, maybe like a couple hundred people. And I'm going to give it a little bit more detail. So we'll check that out in a sec. My prompt now reads, this tavern is going to be within a village that hosts about 200 people. This village can be in the desert, forest, on the ocean, on a river, or in the mountains. And I tell it to pick one at random because I think that's more fun. I don't want to know where this place is. I want this to be something cool. Obviously, you have a starting area location in your mind, so just put that. I would like you to tell me about the physical location first, including what the floor plan looks like. I often make digital maps. I usually use Incarnate to do this. Sometimes I draw them out. So that's something that you may want. Maybe you don't. Maybe you're just doing theater of the mind, but still it's good to understand what the layout looks like, especially if they're like, well, is there a door behind the bar? Because I want to try to sneak through it while they're distracted. Things like that would be good to know ahead of time. Plus, think about it. You're making a tavern. You should draw it out. I would like this tavern to serve as an inn and have at least 4 rooms to rent. Figuring that if you're going to be playing with a party and they're meeting here, maybe they don't want to share rooms yet. Maybe there's 4 players, maybe there's 5, maybe whatever. But 4 rooms feels appropriate. A couple above the bar, right? Tell me about the decorations within the tavern that I can use to immerse my players. Now, this last piece is what I think is good. Lastly, give me a short descriptive text that I could read to my players to describe this location. As you step into the river's reprieve, a wave of warm air greets you, carrying the comforting scent of a roaring fireplace and simmering stew. The wooden interiors resonate with a rich history, each carving on the booths and tables narrates tales from a long time past. Soft illumination from the stained glass lanterns paints the room in warm hues, casting a glow on the local artworks that adorn the walls, a testament to the village's vibrant culture. A gentle hum of conversation fills the room, with locals and travelers alike sharing stories over mugs of ale. The bartenders, always ready with a smile, expertly navigate the area, offering hearty meals and drinks brewed with local ingredients. As you glance through the large window behind the bar, the tranquil river reflects the evening sun, promising a peaceful stay in this rustic yet comforting haven, nestled between the river and the surrounding forest. All right, so this is far from a tavern in a haunted village. This actually sounds very peaceful. So that's the descriptive text, maybe a little bit long, but I'm a GM, DM, whatever. I could truncate that a little bit, or possibly if this is like the opening scene, I actually think that's a very good length. But going up a little bit. So it told us that our location is on a river, which I actually think is perfect. The physical layout and floor plan. Now we'll go through this because it's not very long. It talks about the thing being called the River's Reprieve. It's a 2-story wooden structure nestled on the bank of a gentle river. The lower floor houses the main tavern, while the upper floor has the inn rooms. Now it talks about the lower floor. It's got an entrance area, a main hall, a bar, and a kitchen. The upper floor has a hallway with rooms and a balcony, a communal balcony at the end of the hallway with a few chairs and small tables offering a peaceful space to enjoy the view of the river. That's pretty cool. I could see the party, getting to know each other downstairs, and before they actually go to bed, they all kind of hang out on that balcony, and now you get to have a private conversation. I think that's a very cool little detail. Now this is nice, the decoration. So it talks about the walls being adorned with paintings of the surrounding landscapes, including the river and the dense forest created by local artists. That's cool. Maybe there's something there. Mantelpiece over the fireplace. A mantelpiece displays a collection of river stones, each engraved with the name of a regular patron, serving as a small memorial and testament to the community's close-knit nature. You absolutely know that your players are going to want to put their name on a rock, like without a doubt. Lighting, it's lit with lanterns and stained glass. Furniture is rustic wooden furniture, and the floors are wooden floors. Cool. Okay, so now we've got our physical layout. We have an idea of what our tavern looks like, and I can picture this place like immediately. I actually think that's a really good sign that this did a good job of telling us what it looks like. Next thing we need to think about are the NPCs, but actually even before then, knowing now that this is on a river, I'd like to make a menu. I think, we've created NPCs on this channel a lot of times, and we will definitely do that because that's going to be important for this. But let's make a menu because we've never really done that before. This one's pretty straightforward. I say the tavern sells food and beverages, both alcoholic and not, because it's important to present something that's not alcoholic. Sometimes people actually like to roleplay as non-alcohol drinkers, or maybe they just are in real life. Could you create a menu that would be appropriately priced for this location? Consider what ingredients would be available in this location. I added that one there because I want them to think about how big the village is and what would actually be available. I don't want them to be like, oh, you're going to have some ice cream with gold leaf drizzled all over, like that's ridiculous. It should be like fish caught from the river, I'm guessing. But let's see what it comes up with. So here's the menu of the River's Reprieve. So for beverages, because they know where to start, you have Riverbend Ale. It gives you a little description too. Forest Berry Cordial, Mountain Root Tea, and Sundown Whiskey. Now this one, just being a whiskey guy that I am, I could tell you that, those little whiskey rocks that you get, those are actually based off a real concept where people would take rocks out of a cold river and then drop them in their whiskey to actually help chill their whiskey down. So that's something that you can use in your own game if you want to, but it does say a strong spirit aged in oak barrels carrying the richness and depth of a riverside sunset, which I don't know what that tastes like, but it definitely sounds like something I've heard other whiskey tubers talk about. All right, so then you have some appetizers. Cheese and herb stuffed mushrooms definitely would be available in a town like this. River crisps, thinly sliced and fried root vegetables seasoned with a blend of river. That actually sounds delicious. Maine's grilled river fish, cool. Forest bounty stew, makes sense. Roasted game hen, that makes sense. And it's a little bit pricier at 14 silver pieces because they're going to have to raise these chickens themselves. That is awesome, actually. I love that it took that into account. Now you have berry tarts for dessert and honey and nut cake for dessert as well. And there's some sides that are available. Now I'd like to challenge ChatGPT to do one thing. I'm going to ask it to add one more thing to the menu that would be like an exorbitant price that they don't expect people to actually get. Could you add one more item to the menu that's very expensive and would be rare for anyone to order? Well, the Golden Harvest Feast definitely would do it. At 50 gold pieces, this is not likely to be something that your new players would be able to afford. However, maybe somebody comes in and orders it for the whole tavern. Who knows? There's something here. And just having that little item on your menu it's a conversation starter. So it's something to think about. All right, next thing we want to do is we want to do activity and entertainment. I'm going to get to the NPCs. I'm going to do those towards the end because I want to still develop this thing. I can picture it and now I can kind of smell it, but I want to know what the people are going to be doing here. I'm not sure if this is going to give me the answer I want, but this is kind of that process I was talking about. I don't always get everything right on the very first prompt. It's just what editing's for. But let's see. What kind of activities would be at this tavern for my adventurers to do? What makes this tavern a destination that people would want to visit if they came to this village? My thinking is it's going to talk about the river. Maybe there's some sort of competition of people jumping in the river or cliff diving even. That'd be kind of cool. But let's see. Okay, it's going with riverside fishing. So that's cool. You can get a rod or bait for rent. Storytelling nights. Okay, so if you feel like putting together a story, that's a good way to do it too. Maybe tell about some local creature in the woods or something like that. Musical evenings. There's an art corner. Now, obviously, you don't have to do all of these things. This is just giving you ideas. So art corner, a corner of the tavern is dedicated to displaying arts and crafts made by local artisans. That makes sense. It did talk about the artwork on the wall. So it makes sense that they're going to kind of highlight that. Game nights. The tavern hosts game nights where patrons can participate in various board games, card games, and dice games. Okay, so I will tell you, I'm going to give you a little sneak peek here. A future video will include things like games to play within a tavern, and I'm going to try to generate something brand new that we can add as an option, dice game, or maybe some sort of like, I don't know, some other game, but we'll see what that video looks like when I do it. Unique selling points. There's culinary delights. The tavern is renowned for its exquisite culinary offerings. Okay. It's got breathtaking views, local culture, personalized services. The tavern staff is known for their warm and friendly service, always ready to personalize a guest experience. Okay. That doesn't feel quite the same, like what I'm looking for. Like I see this as quaint, but well functioning. As in they're not like hurting for money, but they're not luxurious either. So I don't think I would go with that one. Adventure getaway. I could see, or gateway, sorry. I could see that being something. Its location makes it a gateway to various adventure. The surrounding forest, the river, and the nearby mountains offer a plethora of opportunities for exploration. And the tavern can arrange guided tours or provide information. Okay. So that's already kind of getting, this is why I'm doing it in this order. I want to define the tavern before I ask about the NPCs, because then ChatGPT is going to take everything it just learned about itself to help you to make more relevant NPCs. And that's why we're doing them last. Okay, up next, so we could do history. Let's do history of this. So I'm going to get a little fancy here. So I wrote, could you tell me about the history of this tavern? Who founded it and why? What significant events has it been part of? And has it had any conflict in its history? But I'm playing D&D. I want to have history checks, right? So you're people passing through, you probably don't know anything about this, except for the one warrior who happened to be, or fighter, happened to be here at some point. So I said, give me general details about its history, but then also give me values that someone would need to roll on a history check to discover as well. This did pretty well. I'm not in love with all of the history check things, only because I wanted it to be a little bit different, but I could have worded it differently as well. But let's go over this real quick. So I won't read the whole thing, but basically the building was founded by a couple of adventurers who settled down and they just loved the adventuring lifestyle. So their intent was to make a tavern for adventurers. They talk about the Great River Festival that they have, where, you know, people celebrate the bountiful river. And then the Peacemakers Accord. I liked this. This basically served as a neutral ground for two warring factions to come and sign a peace treaty. Also, it talks about how at one point or another, the tavern was partially burned by what they suspect was a rival business owner. And I like that. So then when we go down to the history check here with a DC 10, you learn about Brindley and Taryn, who were the owners, and the fact that they were themselves adventurers. And you learn that the Great River Festival was inaugurated by the tavern's founders as a celebration of the river and the community. Like basic DC 10 stuff. As you go down here, you learn a little bit more, including that there's a secret cellar because it's a tavern. Of course, it has a secret cellar, but also you learn that there is supposedly a journal from one of the original founders hidden in the walls. You also learn that some of the art pieces hanging up are like 100 years old and are a treasure by the village and are worth quite a bit of money. So this is all great stuff, and like more than you'll probably need as a DM. Like if people are going to spend the entire night in the tavern asking everybody questions, maybe some of this stuff comes up. But this is more than enough to really get a good feel for it for yourself. I think it's finally time to do some NPCs here. So first we're going to need the current owner. We're going to need the barkeep. We're going to need various patrons, and we're going to make sure that some of them have plot hooks because using our NPC template, it's going to kind of include them. But now that it knows everything about the tavern, it's going to make more relevant ones. So let's go ahead and do that. Would you generate me an NPC for the current owner, the currently working bartender, and 5 patrons who are in or around the tavern right now? I specifically said in or around because I do think it's a little bit strange that usually we only think of who's inside the tavern, but you know, without being too crass, like maybe there's a guy out back taking a leak or maybe people are. It mentioned that there were nice gardens here. Maybe there's a couple that's just out looking at the garden because that's what they like. Or this is really nice river. Maybe some people are just down by the river. I want them to maybe be inside or maybe be outside. So it generated the owner and it also generated the bartender, and then it did something I wasn't expecting, but we'll talk about that in a sec. So the current owner is a human. Her name is Seraphine Moore. People call her Sarah. She's female. She's bisexual. She's got a warm maternal with a sharp business mind and an open heart. There's a bunch of other stuff here. So her secret is that she has the map to a hidden treasure mentioned in Brinley's diary, but is yet to muster the courage to go on that adventure. There you go. There's a plot hook. Well, that's the secret anyway. The quest hook is she might entrust the adventurers with the quest to find the hidden treasure, starting a thrilling treasure hunt based on clues from Brinley's diary. Okay, I actually love that already. You know, I'm even thinking if this is like an in-person thing that you're doing, you have a handout, you've got this little hidden map and it lets people explore the world that you're building. Love it. And they compare her to Mrs. Weasley from Harry Potter, a maternal figure who is warm and caring yet formidable when it comes to protecting her family and business. Cool. Now there's other stuff in here too, but I don't want to read everything to you. If you care, you could always pause it. I tried to make this a little bigger for you guys this week. So the bartender is a half-orc. So that's interesting. His name is Boric the Gentle. He's soft-spoken, a great listener with an incredible memory and attention to detail. I mean, he's half-orc. I guess, why not? Weirder things have happened. He's got grayish-green skin, towering at 6'8", muscular build with gentle yellow eyes and that exhibit a calm demeanor. Okay. Cool. And then his secret is he has the magical ability to calm disputes and hostile intentions through his calming presence, though he uses it sparingly and discreetly. I like that. So he's a magic user and he actually maybe casts calm emotions or something like that. Quest hook, he's been hearing whispers of an ancient artifact that can help people connect with their lost loved ones. He might send adventurers on a quest to find it, hoping to use it to connect with his estranged family. Okay, I mean, that's just a MacGuffin kind of thing. It could be anything. It could be whatever quest you want. These just give you ideas. I'm guessing if you're just starting your game, you probably have tons of ideas, so make it whatever you want. Things that he's carrying, he carries a small vial of mysterious liquid that aids in his calming abilities, a handcrafted wooden talisman given to him by a patron as a token of friendship. Cool. And they compare him to Tom Bombadil from Lord of the Rings. Okay. Now, this is the thing it did that I didn't expect. It wrote patrons. I'll create a rich array of patrons, diverse and with their individual stories to fill the tavern with lively creatures. Let's proceed with this. But it didn't. It just sat there and it wasn't thinking or anything. It was done. So I was like, okay, what do I type? I said, create the patrons. And then it did. So it created me, looks like 4 patrons. And I can continue generating. So it'll keep going. As this is something that you've probably noticed as you go through ChatGPT, it will only produce so much. It's not going to write you a 1,000 page book and just go until you're done, because it will run out of, CPU. So anyway, We won't go through all of these, but just as a quick overview. So there's an elf, there's a gnome, a tabaxi, there's a dwarf, and a tiefling. Okay, so we've got a heck of a variety here, but it does kind of make sense. They're all adventurers, presumably. We have Lyria Shadow Dancer. Let's see. She's a spy and an information broker. This other one's a mercenary. Other one's an herbalist and a healer, an inventor and a tinkerer, and a poet and a wandering minstrel. Okay, cool. So, I mean, we've got people. So that's neat. Each of these patron adds richness and depth to your tavern, offering a range of story hooks and interactions. Okay. I mean, obviously we could go through all of these, but something to keep in mind, if you haven't seen the NPC video that I did, you should watch it. It's one of the better videos that I've done so far, I think. Or at least it's gotten a lot of attention. But something to do is that you could always give it more information. I said just create 5 people. I gave it nothing. But if you wanted to, you could say, create me, the mysterious stranger in the corner, create me the bartender, and create me a group of 3 adventurers who all work together. And it will still take that and it will say, okay, one is clearly a fighter, one's maybe a cleric, and the other one seems to be a wizard. And it will tell you all about them, right? So that's something that you could do on your own time. I won't do that here, just not to waste your time. All right, so at this point, we have designed a tavern. We've given it life. We've given it a history. We've filled it with people. What else do we need to do? I think it's important to stop here only because your tavern is going to be different than my tavern. You don't want to see me generate something. That's what you should be doing with yourself. Like, go do it. Why not? Tell me about it in the comments. Tell me what you make. But more importantly, just let me know, how these are going, if you enjoy them, if there's parts that you like, if there's parts you don't like. If you're getting a lot out of this, I know I've been getting really, really positive feedback. I appreciate that. If there's a topic that you'd like me to cover, I still have, a bunch of stuff. So I've got a lot of these videos still yet to come, but I'm always looking for more ideas, and I will do these as fast as I have ideas to do them. So thank you all for joining me here tonight. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you have a great rest of your night. Cheers.